What's up, YouTube? So today I'm going to be do a pretty light skim for today over my brand new Viking impression. I've been working on this for the past few months, pretty much all winter, so today I'm going to take you guys through just kind of the basic clothes, a little bit on weapons, a little bit on armor, but arms and armor will be probably a separate video later on. First off, we have the cap. Basic design of the time. It's brown wool, 4-panel design there with decorative stitching around the outside and a leather sweatband on the inside. Very basic cap. Both men and women usually always had some kind of a head covering on, and there's even old Icelandic laws prohibiting people from touching another man's hat. It's pretty interesting. Next is the hood. I'll take that off. The hood is also a very basic design. It's pretty much one big rectangle of wool with a square in the back and a square in the front and some blue linen with the lining on the inside. That's pretty much it. It's a hood. Wear that when it's cold, windy, rainy, whatever. The tunic. Now, don't be misconstrued, because I know in a lot of TV shows and movies and things, Vikings are often portrayed as having very dark colored clothing. That's not all the way true. They were actually a very colorful culture and had often a lot of colorful elements to their clothing. But that is not to say that darker or more earthy tones like this were not also used, because they were. But brown, light-ish wool tunic. It's a pretty correct weave there, or correct looking weave. You can kind of see it's kind of a herringbone-ish pattern. And underneath I have my linen under tunic, which is also pretty much the same design. These tunics could go anywhere between about groin level and all the way down to your knee. These sit at about mid-thigh for me, which is a pretty average length overall. Belt. Everyone, men and women included, everyone wore a belt with pouches on it, because during the Viking Age, trousers and pants had no pockets, so you needed a way to carry around small personal items that you wanted to be with you on the day-to-day. You have a basic leather pouch over here, kind of more of a bag design, and then this one's, well, another bag design, but it's a bit different. Pouches like this usually would have been hung on loops like this, suspended from the belt, not necessarily attached directly to the belt like many pouches later on in history and today are. Simple peg and leather loop closure there. And in it I have just string, flint and steel stuff, things like that. Little utility knife. Everyone would have carried a little utility knife on them for various tasks that you would have to do during the day. This knife is not 100% authentic, but it works, and when it's in the sheath, the handle is passable. Pan down, you can see the rest. So, trousers. These trousers are linen, and they usually would have been linen or wool, either more of a straight leg work trouser design or more of this poofy type look. The poofy trousers are normally more associated with Eastern Vikings in the Czechoslovakia and Russia area of the world, but being as how they were a culture that could cross oceans and travel for trade, and all these, they were all over the place, so there's no reason that different clothing styles couldn't have made it to other parts, other realms of the Viking culture. Leg wraps, blue wool. They came in all sorts of different colors, and they were blue they were wool or linen, but you see the crude cut edge on these. That's not authentic. Historically, they would have been woven strips of fabric, either linen or wool, and they would not have had this crudely cut edge to them. Shoes, basic one piece of leather design shoes. I mean, one piece of leather wrapped around the foot, usually sewn up the middle or something like that, would make up a historic Viking Age shoe. Now, a little bit on arms and armor. So, first up, talk about armor a little bit. This is a older style Viking Age helmet. 4-panel design there, a little spike on the head there for ramming your opponent and things like that. Chainmail skirt around the outside there, and the goggles. The oh so iconic goggles. The goggle design is an older design because the problem that arose with these is that swords, blades, axes, weapons would be often directed by the goggles design into the eye socket, whereas you might have a glancing miss or on the face. These would end up directing it right into your eye socket and obviously cause you a little bit of problem. So these ended up going out of style with the Norman helmet later on, or Norman style helmet with the simple nose guard there, but these were still around here and there throughout the Viking era. So obviously the intimidation factor and extra protection that these helmets gave often outweighed the inherent risk of something going into your eye socket. All Viking helmets during the age usually would have been padded with some kind of a sheepskin or lamb's wool. Now there's a lot of speculation about the interior of helmets because obviously originals, all this interior fabric and stuff would be rotted away after 1,000 years, but it's most likely that they would have been padded with something like that. And not everyone had a helmet. This would have been the equivalent of a brand new sports car or a house in the countryside. Same with chainmail. Not everyone had them because they were so expensive to make. Shield. Oh so iconic Viking shield. This is, well, it's a shield. They would have been covered with linen fabric on the outside to help protect the shield, give it a bit more strength, and it would prevent your enemy from seeing which way the grain of the wood ran and being able to therefore break the shield. Shield boss, shield steel boss, rawhide around the outside, give it a bit more strength, and leather carrying strap on the back with a handle. Small hand axe. These would have been probably one of the most common weapons of the Viking era. Small hand axe required very little iron and was very light and easy to maneuver. Very common right there. Skagox. Skagox or bearded axe refers to the design of the head. These came in anywhere from that small to about this size. These were great because you could hook shields, hook weapons, and even hook people. So, a very, very useful weapon. Also very common. Swords were not very common because they required much more steel to make versus axes and things. So that pretty much wraps it up for today. That's a basic overview. There'll be more videos in the future about Viking arms and armor. Just a basic premiere of the impression today. We'll see you guys next time. Comment, rate, subscribe. See you guys.